In this video, we are going to take a look at section 1.9. 1.9 is looking at exponents and looking at orders of operations. Exponents are a shorthand way to show multiplication. For example, instead of writing 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5, we can write 5 to the 6th power. If we worked it all out, the result would be 15,625. The 5 that is repeated is called the base. The number 6 is called the exponent or the power. The exponent tells the number of times the base is to be used when multiplying. So how many times the base is multiplied by itself. So our 5 repeated, there are 6 5s up here to match with a 6 for the exponent. Any number with an exponent of 1 is the number itself. Thus, 10 to the first power means we have 110. Multiplications that are expressed in exponential notation are read as follows. 10 to the second power is also called 10 squared. 10 to the third power is also called 10 cubed. Then we have 10 to the fourth power, 10 to the fifth power, etc. If we want to work out exponents, we must be sure of the base. So 4 to the third power says to take 4 times 4 times 4, which is 64. So 4 is the base there. Negative 2 in parentheses to the fourth power says to take negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, which is 16. So negative 2 is the base there. But be careful. Negative 6 to the fourth power with no parentheses does not mean to take negative 6 as the base. It means just to make the results negative. So negative 6 to the fourth power says to take the negative of 6 times 6 times 6 times 6, which is negative 1,296. So an exponent applies only to a base. In that case, the base was just the 6. A negative sign that is not part of the base will not be in parentheses. So this makes a difference on whether your answer is positive or negative with even powers. Much like combining like terms before, the variables must be the same in all respects other than the coefficient to be able to be combined, which means it has to have the same variable and the same exponents. So for example, we know 5x plus 7x simplifies to 12x. We add the 5 plus 7 together. And similarly, we have negative 7x squared plus 4x squared. The x's match, the squares match, and so we can do negative 7 plus 4 to get negative 3 for our coefficient. So we have negative 3x squared as an answer. But if you notice in the next example, 8x cubed minus 2x squared, they have different exponents. One has a 3, one has a 2, and so they are not like terms, and therefore they cannot be combined. So let's take a look at some examples of what we were just talking about. We have 10 to the third power, or 10 cubed here. So that's the same as 10 times 10 times 10. Which would give us 1,000 when we multiply those 3 together. We have negative 4 in parentheses squared, so the negative is part of the base, so we will do negative 4 times negative 4, which gives us a positive 16. C, there's no parentheses, so we have a negative of 5 squared, which means a negative of 5 times 5, or negative 25. For D, no parentheses again, so we have the negative of 3 to the fourth power, so 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Make sure that you're multiplying and not adding, and so their answer is not negative 12, not 3 times 4, or 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. Remember, it's 3 times 3, which is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 27 times 3 is 81. And so for E, Now there's a plus sign. Notice the exponent, the squared, is on the x's, so that's not something that we can simplify. And so they are like terms because they're both an x and they both have a second power. So we will combine our 12 plus our 6 to get 18. And then that's x squared. For f, notice that the 4's are the same. However, one is with an x and one is with a y. So we cannot combine them. When they cannot be combined, just rewrite what they give you as proof that you know that they cannot be simplified by being combined together. Same thing with g. Notice that this time the x's are the same, but one has an exponent of 3, one has an invisible exponent of 1, so we can't combine them. So again, let's just rewrite what we see. Negative x cubed minus 2x. H, we have y squared and y squared. Those match. But notice we have a minus a negative. The opposite of a negative is a positive. So let's just put a big plus sign in front of those two negatives. So we have 5y squared minus 7y squared to simplify that. And 5 minus 7 is negative 2. So we have negative 2y squared. And then I has three terms, 3x squared minus 5x cubed plus 5x squared. So two of those three are like terms. We have the first term with an x squared and the last term with an x squared. So we'll combine those two. 3 plus 5 is 8. So we have 8x squared. And then we'll bring down our minus 5x cubed into our answer. When an expression has many different operations involved in it, to simplify, one must follow a prescribed routine. We call this the order of operations. And we saw some of that when looking at our multiplying and dividing from left to right and adding and subtracting from left to right. So what we need to do is our inside parentheses, multiple parentheses work from inside out. And so we'll see an example of where you have a couple parentheses and how that looks. Exponents. Exponents may also include square roots. Then we have to multiply and divide from left to right in order that they appear. Same thing then finally with addition and subtraction. And so you might remember hearing, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, to remember parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division, and addition with subtraction. So let's look at some examples. Parentheses comes first, and so let's simplify inside the parentheses. We have 5 squared minus 10 inside the parentheses. So let's take our 5 squared and make that 5 times 5, which is 25. And then we'll copy down the rest of the problem. So we still have to finish working inside of our parentheses. 25 minus 10 is 15. So then we have 15 squared. And 15 squared is 15 times 15. And so our final answer is 225. B shows you an example of having parentheses inside parentheses. The outside parentheses is a bracket. It's just to help you distinguish between the parentheses around the -2 and the parentheses around everything but the outside negative. And notice that square, it's not an absolute value. It's just another way to write the parentheses. And so inside we have this multiplication. Remember, when there's nothing in between parentheses, it means multiply. So 8 times -2 is -16. We'll bring down our -3. That had parentheses around it. You can change it to a regular parentheses if you want, since there's no other set of parentheses anymore. Let's combine our -16 minus 3 more now. And so we have a negative on the outside. And when we do -16 minus 3, we get -19. And so here we have the negative of -19, which is a positive 19. So the answer to B is 19. C, We have a parenthesis here that shows a multiplication because there's nothing to do inside of the parentheses. And so exponents is the next thing on our list. We have the negative of 4 squared, so negative of 4 times 4, which is 16, and minus 9 times negative 2. We have to do the multiplication next, so we'll bring down our negative 16, and minus 9, or negative 9 times negative 2. Negative times negative is positive, and 9 times 2 is 18. Sorry about that. And we combine negative 6 plus 18, we get a positive 2. For D, we have parentheses here that has something involved in it. So that's where we attack first. So everything else drops down. 12 divided by 4 times negative 3 minus, and then inside parentheses, 1 minus 3 would give us negative 2 squared. So now we're done with what's inside of parentheses. We'll move to our exponents. We're still dealing with the back here. So we'll do 12 divided by 4 times negative 3 minus, and then that's negative 2 as a base, so negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4. But notice we still had this negative sign that brought down into the problem. Now we need to tackle multiplication and division from left to right. And so 12 divided by 4 would come first, which is 3. So we have 3 times negative 3 minus 4. Still, we have to multiply first. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. So negative 9 minus 4 will get us our final answer of negative 13. Okay, with question E, we have negative 4 plus parentheses negative 7 squared, parentheses, so times negative 2. Again, according to our orders of operation, parentheses comes first, but if you look inside the parentheses, there's nothing to simplify in them. So we move on to exponents. And so we'll take care of negative 7 to the second power first. And so we'll bring down our negative 4, the plus sign. Negative 7 squared means negative 7 times negative 7, which is a positive 49. And then bring down our parentheses, which means multiply negative 2. So now we need to do multiplication and division, left to right. And so the negative 4 plus gets ignored. And we will do the 49 times negative 2. And that is negative 98. So we'll bring down the negative 4 plus in front of it. So our final step is negative 4 plus negative 98, which gives us negative 102. And for our last problem, question F, we have brackets. Again, that's to show us parentheses. So everything in there needs to be taken care of before we deal with the negative on the outside. And so if we look inside of those brackets, we have another set of parentheses. And so that's where we start. We can simplify inside there. So we'll simplify the 2 plus 7 first. So everything else gets brought down. And I'm going to leave the parentheses there just to show that multiplication. And put the 9 minus 3 squared. Okay, so we've taken care of the inside parentheses. Now we have to keep going inside there before we can use the outside parentheses. So exponents come next. Here we have subtract 3 squared. Again, there's no parentheses. So we need to take the negative of 3 squared, or negative of 3 times 3, which is 9. So let's change that and leave everything else the same. Okay, so we've taken care of the 3 squared. And now inside the parentheses, we have to do multiplication and division left to right. We don't have any multiplication, or sorry, any division, but we have this multiplication here. So let's drop down our negative, our bracket, a 5, and then negative 3 times 9, or subtract 3 times 9, will give us minus or negative 27. Okay, now we need to do inside the brackets addition and subtraction left to right. So we'll start with a 5 minus 27 first, and then we'll subtract 9 from that answer. So 5 minus 27 will give us negative 22, and then negative 22 minus 9 more will give us negative 31. And again, that's not absolute value, that's a parenthesis. So we have the negative of a negative. 2 negatives build a positive. And so we get a positive 31 as our final answer. So now it is your chance to practice what I just discussed with you. And the practice problems are on pages 47, 48, and 49 in your workbook. If you have any difficulties with them, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.